When we were designing the new undergraduate major, what we were really focused on is creating a set of courses and a major that would be attractive to students and would make clear to students that political science had a lot of interesting content that would be useful to them, both in their academic life and then after they left Stanford. Reforming the major, we came up with 5 new tracks. And the new tracks really are attempting to convey what we do as a political science department and convey that content that's easy for undergraduates to understand and then navigate through those tracks. So the first track is international relations, and that's going to be a track that's going to study what goes on in the world. The second track is political economy and development, and this track is all about the way politics affects the way economic decisions happen and the way countries develop. The third track is elections, representation, and governance. And this track studies how collective decisions are made, both in the United States and across the world. The fourth track is justice and law. And this track will help students focus on the big questions, big normative questions that political scientists ask. Things like, what is justice, or how should governments be structured? And the fifth track is data science. And this is a new innovation for our department, and there's really nothing quite like it in another political science department in the country. In this data science track, we are taking the experts in our department, people who spend their days developing statistical models and algorithms, and having them convey that content to undergraduates in a way that's useful to them immediately and helps develop skills that'll be useful when they leave Stanford.
So I'm always using the experiences that I've had in government, working in the real world, away from this idyllic campus, to help motivate the teaching of theory, the teaching of sort of empirical tools to help people understand why it is that developing a grounding in social science will make you a more effective change agent if ultimately that's the path that you want to go down.
I majored in political science because I really wanted to learn how the world worked, and how power is distributed and how people work together to make change happen. And so I wanted to learn how systems worked at a global level, and how change is really made at scale, especially with regards to policy, and how I can best position myself to make an ethical and effective difference.
I think that we study some of the most fascinating puzzles that there are in the world. Why are there rich countries and poor countries? Why do groups or individuals sometimes resort to violence to get what they want in politics? Why is it so difficult to solve common problems like climate change or catastrophic threats to our environment?
In Poli-Sci 1 and a lot of other classes within political science, you might look at what explains variations in the levels of inequality between countries. What political theory brings to the table is it helps us to answer a related question, which would be, how much inequality is appropriate? How much inequality is a moral matter are we willing to put up with politically? How do we know? How do we make that decision? What are the trade-offs between equality and other values like freedom and justice?
Stanford's unusual in that not only does it have academic departments, it has large research centers that deal with problems in the world. So the Freeman Spogli Institute and the Center for International Security and Cooperation and the Center for Democracy, Development, and the Rule of Law are Stanford think tanks that deal with international security, international development, global health, and global security problems.
I've had a really amazing relationship with my advisor, who's at one point was my professor, and I've had the chance to do research for him, and he's just been a great mentor, and even beyond the department and like my studies here. And I really sort of cherish the time I've had to spend with him, and just kind of talking about like what my plans will be in the future. And I think that's something that's really kind of consistent throughout the department, and with professors being really kind of open and forthcoming with their students, and willing to meet with them.
I also think I've been able to develop thinking critically about issues. So I think what draws a lot of people to political science is the idea that, oh, there's a certain issue I want to study, and there's always two sides to the issue. And I think being able to critically analyze how are those arguments correct, and thinking deeply about what other people have written and how can you prove that right or wrong.
Another one of my favorite classes was a research design class, which allowed us to pick apart some literature that some people say is like the top of the field and actually look for the weakest points in those arguments. And used that to help us figure out what is a good research design. And I think that definitely gave me confidence in designing my own research.
Analytic skills that students gain will prepare them for a wide range of career paths, including in government, business, nonprofit organizations, and for graduate studies in law and social sciences.
But we think it's one really exciting area that's growing within political science is this question of how can we use all of this new data that's out there to study things like politics.
I've developed strong writing skills. I've strengthened my verbal communication skills by doing a lot of presentations. I've also developed an ability to read a large amount of text and discern the crucial parts of the text.
It's a way of having a scientifically rigorous approach to politics, and that will help you whether you want to go into politics, whether you want to analyze politics, whether you want to protest against politics. Having that rigorous background will be very helpful to you.